I got to tell you, last night the penalties were atrocious. It was a nonstop flag fest, which adds to the offense of both teams. And the Seattle Seahawks did something no other team in NFL history has ever done. Do you know what that is?
I don't, Boomer.
All right. They scored over 31 points, had 0 punts, and lost the game.
Wow.
That's how pathetic last night's game was. Everybody thinks it's a great game because it's a high score and back and forth and all this other stuff. You know, I would much prefer like a 27-24, 24-20 game where defenses are actually involved and the referees are not.
Oh, don't get too greedy here, man. Come on. We finally got some offense, and now you want less offense?
Look, I love offense. I think it's great, and I think it's great that the fact that, Mike McCarthy made this move at the end of the game, I think was the wrong move, and gave Geno a chance to win the game, especially with DK Metcalf running around out there the game that he had last night. Anything was possible. And the way that the flags were flying last night, anything was possible. But this is a good thing for the NFL, though, because this makes this game between San Francisco and Philadelphia even juicier. San Francisco wins this game, and Philadelphia goes down to Dallas. That makes next week's Philly at Dallas game even that much more interesting because that will be for the lead in the NFC East, and I most likely will be we could have a new number one in the NFC. It could be San Francisco, could be Dallas, depending on what happens this weekend in Philadelphia. So, yeah, you're right. These two teams, as I was telling you yesterday, it wasn't a short week for them. Dallas now gets the rest and waits for Philly next week while Philly has to play on Sunday. A little bit of a bonus for them, I think. But, again, there was just – when you throw the flags as many times as the officials threw the flags last night, the defenders feel like they don't have a chance. Like, it doesn't matter what we do. Sometimes they get away with one here and away with one there. But, there were over 800 yards of total offense in this game. The Cowboys had 33 touchdowns. The penalties, 10 on Seattle and 9 on Dallas. 19 total penalties for a whopping total of 257 yards.
Yeah, even when you get a game like this with a bunch of scoring, there's something that is going to annoy you about it, and it certainly was the penalties, and the refs became the story once again. But, after people sort of digest this game and move on, and the Cowboys win this one, and they end up squeaking by at home when they were a 9.5-point favorite, I think came down to 8.5. The questions are going to be now, of course, across the country, because everybody loves talking about the Cowboys every single day, is, what happened to the defense? Are they going to be good enough? Dak Prescott's playing his best football, but the defense isn't as good as it used to be. All of these things. Will they be able to go win on the road? And I think the answer to all that stuff is no. I don't think they're as good as Philadelphia, and I don't think they're as good as San Francisco, and I think that margin is growing and growing by the week.
Well, this is why this game between San Francisco and Philadelphia is so interesting this week. I think America believes that San Francisco is going to walk in there and beat Philadelphia. That's one of the reasons why.
Vegas does for sure.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why San Francisco is favored over a 10-1 home team with their starting quarterback under center. And it's kind of a revenge spot a little bit for the San Francisco 49ers, given what happened last year in the playoffs. But I do think that San Francisco is still the best team. To me, they're still the best team. When they're healthy, they're the best team. They're the best team in the league. And then I would put Kansas City right underneath them. And then I would put Baltimore, and then I would put Philadelphia.
Okay.
That's how I would go right now. But Dallas is going to be there, and they're going to have something to say about it a week from Sunday, and that is going to be a huge, I believe it's a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
That is going to be a huge game. It's going to get huge ratings, and hopefully we get a much cleaner played game. That's the thing about last night I didn't like. It just wasn't a clean game, man. It's just so choppy with the flags and everything else. And, you sit there, try to watch it and enjoy it. And then, of course, it's close and it's high scoring, so we got to stay up.
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I had the Cowboys with one of my knockout picks, and my body just shut down. Because yesterday, staying in the city, I ended up having like this crazy day that I thought I planned correctly but didn't, and tried to take a nap in my office, and then that didn't work, and then got into a hotel where they were jackhammering. And then we had this event, and then it was a great event last night in Tenafly, New Jersey. And then I get back to the hotel, I put the game on, and I'm thinking, oh, this is, fun. This game is close. It's about halftime. The Seahawks are up by a point at halftime. I'm going to watch this second half because I can sleep in a little bit because I don't have to drive in. Next thing you know, my alarm is going off. I don't know. My body just shut down. So I had to come in this morning and watch it and figure out what was going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that we got something competitive and fun on a Thursday night game. But no one is going to believe. Cowboy fans and NFL fans across the country, including me, are not going to believe in the Dallas Cowboys until they do it. They are now that franchise with a quarterback who we both love, and this is not, I'm not knocking him, but this is a fact that he is in that if you're going to be really great, you got to start winning some playoff games against some good teams.
Well, their defense has got to do something too. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has finally got a defense. I would tell you Jalen Hurts going into the Super Bowl last year with over 70 sacks on that defensive line finally had a defense. The defense has got to do something. But he hasn't played
well, Dak, in some of these playoff games. That is the thing.
Look, as I was telling you last night, there's very few guys that I would take over him as the face of my franchise and what he has done and where he's come from and how he's done it and how he's always stood up there professionally. And that's a big thing to me. I want the leader of that team to be the unquestioned leader of that team, and I know that those players believe that. And that is a big thing for me. And there is no question that he understands what you're saying because he hears that rhetoric all the time. And I'm sick of it. I think the guy is a terrific football player. And, I hope that he gets his chance to shine in one of these playoff games against one of these better teams because I think they are better teams than he has. And, yeah, he's going to have to probably play a picture-perfect playoff game or two in order to get his team to the Super Bowl. And then there'll be those guys out there, the detractors, that be screaming and yelling, who've never played the position, don't realize how hard it is. Now, I know he's getting paid a lot of money. I understand that. But, man, there isn't a guy under more scrutiny than that guy on a daily basis. There isn't for a guy that's been as successful as he's been.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, but that's what comes with being the Cowboy quarterback. Just as you've talked about many times, there's a lot of crap that happens to you when you become the Jets quarterback. And when you're the Cowboys quarterback, every single football fan, it puts you under a microscope. And that's just like there's certain guys that we respect and love and have great careers and going to be Hall of Famers. And there's other guys that are that and also winners. Like, think about the Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers situation.
Right, exactly.
All three of those guys had amazing careers.
But
all three of them.
Like, Phillip Rivers is in the Dak world because he's so good, but he just couldn't get his team to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Where the other two guys won multiple Super Bowls. Now, it doesn't mean that Phillip Rivers had a failure career.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
And he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And Dak Prescott is on his way to doing that as well. He is in the MVP conversation this year. His numbers are through the roof. And as long as he stays healthy the rest of his career, he's got a real opportunity to also be in the Hall of Fame. But us as fans, we watch these games for a couple of reasons. And when it's not about fantasy football and gambling, it's about watching your team celebrate a championship. And ultimately, when you are a team that's got a rich history of championships like the Dallas Cowboys, you're either one of those guys who did it or you're not.
It's interesting. On Thanksgiving, I compared Dak Prescott to the pressure of playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys to Roger Staubach and, of course, Troy Aikman. Both of those guys were Super Bowl winners. Both of those guys were the heart and soul of their franchises, and both those guys stood up in front of the media just like Dak does. I asked Roger Staubach what he thought about Dak. He goes, man, I love this kid. I think he's fantastic. I think he's underrated. He actually thinks he's underrated. And he goes, he is the perfect leader for this team. And, that's all I needed to hear when I spoke with Roger about Dak. And this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. He felt that way. And I think it's only been bolstered by Dak's performance this year. I mean, and look, I know they won games without him with Cooper Rush, so that just kind of shows you how good their team is. The one good thing I will say, he finally found his Drew Pearson and Michael Irvin and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
That's what he has now that he really had a hard time finding prior to CeeDee Lamb emerging as one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. Although he dropped a bunch of passes last night.
Yeah, but I mean, the run he has been on has been remarkable. I mean, the 150-yard games and the catches, I mean, he's been incredible. And that's one of those guys that Jerry Jones just absolutely loves. That offensive player, that big-time wide receiver, guys that remind him of Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper and someone who is going to come in and take the league by storm at an offensive position, and they hit on him. They absolutely hit on CeeDee Lamb. So yeah, they're going, of course, to be in the conversation in the NFC. There's just two teams. They're just the Eagles and the Niners are so good.
So I'm watching this game last night, and Mike McCarthy decides to go for it on 4th down. I said, okay, gutsy, pretty good call. I'm with it. He rolls Dak to the right, throws the ball right to CeeDee Lamb. Would have been a 1st down. CeeDee drops it.
Yeah.
Now, is that Dak's fault?
No.
I mean, like, this is the kind of thing that if that game ends up being lost, that play, that decision by the coach, the throw by the quarterback are all anybody's discussing. They're not discussing the fact that CeeDee Lamb dropped the ball that hit him right in the hands. And I don't, you want to be the best. You got to make those plays. Those are simple plays. But anyway, they won the game. That's ultimately all that matters. And it does set up a really unique situation in Philadelphia this week. And if Philadelphia does lose, an even more unique situation for the next week in Dallas when Philadelphia has to go down there.
Yes, that is right. So we're going to get some great games, especially this week with the Eagles and the Niners, and that's really it this week when it comes to. I know they did some cool games.
Broncos Texans.
Yeah, you're right.
Broncos Texans, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Feed Russell. Let him cook.
According to Alan Jerry, it's a cool game, singular. Just the Eagles.
That really? So they didn't give the Broncos and the Texans the cool game moniker.
They considered it, but Al, not a cool game.
Intriguing game.
And that's an intriguing game. How long did it take you to come up with the idea that it was an intriguing game as opposed to a cool game?
Right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Immediately. That's how they do this thing. Yeah. So they just toss it out, and you should know right away. Like Mike of the Mad Dog used to say, if you have to think about someone being a Hall of Famer, they're not a Hall of Famer. That's the way they handle.
You don't like
cool
Kansas
games.
City or Green Bay? Patrick Mahomes' first time at Lambeau
Green
Field.
Bay stinks.
Yeah, Green Bay stinks. Like Gio
Green
said.
Bay won on Thanksgiving in Detroit. Jordan Love, the last 3 games, has been hot.
Nope. Sorry. That's not one.
I mean, it is Kansas City, Green Bay. I mean, there is some history there.
It's a nostalgia game.
Yeah. Nostalgia game, but intrigue.
Spot. Yeah, but no. It's not, all those things are right. Nostalgia spot, everything else, but I'm not interested in that football game.
Falcons at Jets is not a cool game?
Oh, God.
And we think it could be the first singular cool game situation.
Right. How about the Chargers at the Patriots?
I mean,
Bailey Zappi's going to start, it looks like.
That's just horrible. Yeah, this is a rough week. Denver-Houston is a good, that is one. I would absolutely have said that's a cool game. I had forgotten about that one. But, I mean, there's one game, and one game that everybody's going to be focusing on. And that is, of course, with the Niners and the Eagles. And it's a huge, huge deal.
And that's a 425 game on Fox, so that will get huge ratings, yes.
Yeah, and they've been breaking ratings records all over the place.
Yes, we have.
CBS just killing it.
It's got to be the lead-in. It's got to be the NFL Today. That's what I think.
Yeah, no.
Without question.
I certainly think that it is.
You need a good lead-in. Like, we got a good lead-in with Alan Jerry.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance because I stayed in the city last night. I didn't get a chance to listen to Alan Jerry at all, and I get nervous when I don't listen to them for some reason.
Why?
Because I'm afraid of what they're saying. I don't know why. It's like a weird thing.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.